What's going on, guys? It is Caleb, and today we're going to continue right where we left off last time in the previous video with some construction junction. Today we're going to be learning how to combine objects with other tools. We're going to see how objects can be used with conditional statements, functions, and even arrays and for loops. So, sounds pretty complex like always, but we are Java and we are programmers, so this should be a breeze, especially if you're coming from the last one. This is going to be super easy. So combining objects with our other tools, let's go ahead and get started. If you're not already subscribed, make sure to subscribe right now by clicking the subscribe button, and you better be in full screen or else you're missing out on pure HD. That's right. All these videos are in HD, so if you haven't been watching in HD, make sure the full screen, go to 720p, and you can see all this beautiful code. I know I mention something about it every time, so let's go ahead and get started. Arrays of objects, and before we go ahead and get started, I'm going to reset my code. Arrays of objects. Remember that an object is just another type, like a string or a number, but more complex. This means that just as we can make arrays of numbers and strings, we can also make arrays of objects. Here we have our person constructor, which should look familiar. We can use this constructor to make an array of person objects, similar to how we might make an array of numbers but filling in people instead. Add one more person to the family array, Timmy, who is 6 years old. Okay, so if we go ahead and see what we got going on here, we can just see right off the rip, they have the person constructor. Okay, and it's taken in two inputs, a name and an age, assigning it to their key value, so that's cool. We have an empty array here called family. We're using the bracket notation to get the indexes of the family, and we're creating new person objects within the array. Okay, and we're indexing them. Okay. So, to make a new one, all we have to say is family. And we're going to tell it what slot to go to. So we're going to say 3, and we're going to equal new person, because we're making a new person object. His name is going to be Timmy, comma, because he is only 6 years old. So that looks pretty darn good. Let's go ahead and save and submit the code, and we get the green light. So we pass this little lesson exercise. Alright, now I've got to reset. Loop the loop. Arrays filled with objects will work just like arrays filled with numbers and strings. In the same way, we might loop through an array of numbers to print them out or calculate a sum. We can loop through an array of objects and access their properties or methods. Okay, cool. So, the instructions are, write a person constructor called person that has two properties, name and age. Create an empty array called family. Also, don't forget, there will be 4 objects in the array. Using your person constructor, create the 4 objects and put them in the array. The order of the objects are Alice, who is 40, Bob, who is 42, Michelle, who is 8, and Timmy, who is 6. Create a for loop that loops through the family array and prints out this name property for each family member of the order of creation. So, honestly, you could just go back and copy all the code from the very first one, but let's just go ahead and write it, because not only does it help us, but it's good for practice. So what we want to do is just say something like function person, and we're going to say name, then age, because these are the parameters we're going to pass through. We're going to assign this dot name equals name, this dot age equals age. And that looks good on our constructor right now. Now we need to make a function that can take in the, or not take, but now we can make an array of people. That's what we need to do. So from here, what we need to do is, excuse me, we need to make, let me see here, what am I saying? Blah, brain fart, hold on. We're going to make our family array, so var family equals new array. And now that we have our array, what are we getting? Use the array literal notation. That is fine the way that it is right now. Now we need to start adding our little family members to our array, so family, and the very first index equals new person. and this person's name is Alice, so let's copy Alice, paste Alice in there, and Alice, she seems to be the mother of the family. She's 40. Now we have family, and we're going to do the very first index equals new person. Oh, that came out wrong. Nope, there we go, new person. And his name is Bob. Bob is 42. He is probably the father of the family. Family index 2 equals new person. Make sure these are capitalized. This is Michelle. She is also 8. Or she's not also. She is only 8. Family once again. Now, this is going to be a 3. And it's going to equal to new person. And this this name should be Timmy. So now that we have Timmy in there, Timmy is only 6 years old. He's a little youngin'. The little kid in the group. Now that we have Timmy, we get to make our for loop. So this will be fun. So to make a for loop, we just say for. We can say something like var a, because really it's going to be whatever you want. We want to make sure it's set to 0 because we want to start at the very first spot of the very first index of the family array. And remember, if we go back to arrays, they index off of 0 and not 1. So that's very important whenever you loop through an array. Now what we're going to do is set a less than the family.length. And what this will do, this will grab the family.length and it will be less than, so this will give us the right amount to loop however many times. It doesn't matter how big the family array may be, it's going to loop through the family array the correct amount of times without giving us an error or a one-off or anything like that. Now that we have our little for loop constructed, we just want to console.log. And what we're going to say family. Now we're going to pass an a because this is going to give us our index. Now, not only are we going to do that, we're also going to be a little bit more specific, and we're going to console.log their name. And that should work. So whenever we are at the 0th index of our family array, we are referring to family 0, which is Alice, and that's the name that we pass through for that one, which this is being passed through the constructor up here, and the constructor is assigning the name to the new person object by using this as a placeholder. And hopefully this should work. Let's try it out. Save and submit. Sweet. And we got Alice, Bob, Michelle, and Timmy. So that was correct. Let's go on to the next exercise and reset our code. Alright. Thankfully it all didn't go away. So passing objects into functions. In addition to making arrays of objects, we can use objects as parameters for functions as well. That way, these functions can take advantage of the methods and properties that a certain object type provides. To see an example, take a look at the console. In addition to our person constructor, we have introduced a new function, age difference, which is on line 9. This function takes two persons' objects as parameters and returns the difference in age between the two people. Notice we would be in trouble here if we tried to call age difference and passed in strings instead of people, because strings don't have an age property. But because we know from our constructor that all persons' objects will have an age property, and we can pass any person into age difference, we must be careful not to pass anything but person objects into age difference. We have created two example people, Alice and Billy. Complete line 17 by calling age difference and saving the result in our global diff variable. So we go ahead and look at our code right quick. We have this constructor right here. And this is the same old ordinary constructor that we've been dealing with all throughout the past couple exercises and even through the past couple of lessons. Right now, underneath this constructor, we have a function called age difference, which takes in the person 1 and person 2, and it returns person 1.age minus the person 2.age. Okay, so if we have Alice equals new person Alice, and 30, so that's a new person object named Alice, who's 30. And we also have Billy, who's a new person object who is only 25. That creates them for us. Now, get the difference in age between Alice and Billy using our function. Well, how do we do that? Well, it's easy. We just call our age different function onto our new people objects, our person objects. So, age difference, and that is var diff equal age difference, blah, blah. And now we're going to say Alice, and then we're going to pass in Billy. Now if we put a little semicolon there, that looks pretty good. Let's see what are we getting here. We're going to add a semicolon right here. Save and submit. And we get the green light. So we got it correct. Nice. Okay, now let's reset our code. Oh man, a lot of code that just vanished. Oh no, went back. Okay, here we go. So try it out. This time try making your own function that takes objects as parameters. Here we have given you the person constructor again, along with the age different function as an example. Now create a new function, older age. It should take two persons as parameters and return the age of whatever person is older. For example, with 30-year-old Alice and 25-year-old Bob, older age Alice Bob should return 30 because that is Alice's age and she is older than Bob because 30 is obviously older than 25. If the two people have the same age, then you can return that age. So the instructions are define a function called older age. We want the function to return the age of the person who is older. Well, how do we do this? You guessed it, conditionals. We're going to create a little if tree, and we're going to have an if, an else if, and then an else, because we are checking 3 different states. Really, we're checking 2, and then finally if they're the same, or if she's older, depending on how we're going to write it, we'll just put whatever we feel like needed. But yeah, long story short, let's just go ahead and jump right on in here and create our older age function. So var older age equals function, and we're going to be passing in, once again, I like using the person 1 and person 2 because that's fairly easy, kind of just like they did above. And remember to put a semicolon after this. Now what we're going to do is we're going to check, really what I like to do, I'm going to set it up this way. I'm going to first say var old, and I'm going to assign that to the person 1.age. So it's automatically, we're just kind of assuming that the person 1.age is or the first person is the older one, really. That's what I'm saying right now. So this is going to equal the person 1.age. Now what I'm going to do is create my if statement. So if, and what we're going to pass in here is the person 1 or person 2.age. If old is, so pretty much if we're going to say if person 1.age is greater than person 2, we're going to return person 1. But I'm just going to say if old is greater than person 2.age, then I'm just going to return old. Else if old is less than person 2.age, and once again this could be else if person 1.age is less than person 2.age, we can return person 2.age. And finally, I gotta type that. So yeah, so we're just gonna return person 2.age, and then finally, make sure you have your semicolon. And we're just gonna say else, and we're just gonna return the age. And this way, this is going to pretty much check. Well, if the first one, if it's older, well then that one's obviously older. If it's not older, well then the second person is obviously older. Then finally, neither of them are older. They're both the same age. So just return back their age because that's what it wants us to do. So if we go ahead and try and submit this, hopefully we got everything correct. And we did, so the older person is 30. So congratulations, you finished this section. If this helped you guys out at all, make sure to leave the video a like. If you ever get stuck or have any questions or comments, leave them down below. Don't forget to subscribe for more future videos. And until next time, guys, have a wonderful night. It's been Caleb. Peace.